Hey, what is up, my scooter beans, and welcome back to the channel. And I have another story for you guys today. And this one, it's about the same guy that was in that video about the porn. And I was thinking to myself, how could I say that without sounding like a fucking perv? And that's the best way I can explain it. The video I made a couple of weeks back, with the title of that, and it's another story with him, but this one's about vaping, because alright, let me just jump straight into the story. In middle school, vaping was just as cool as smoking dope, smoking weed, doing, injecting heroin. It was the baddest, newest shit that we could do. But, I remember my friend, like the guy that had it, he was one of my close friends at the time. Like, I remember we would hang out. He lived like on my, where I used to live. He used to live around there. And we would hang out like most of the time we would hang out in class. But anyways, he had vapes, the little vaping pins, and he would always just bring them out because his brother had some and he gave some to him or something, like basically he got some from someone, his older sister or something like that. But anyways, he used to bring them to school, and he would just kind of just look like a badass, taking a big hit from this vaping pen and just doing smoke tricks and making smoke go up in his nose, come out his ears, the cool stuff, man. It was the cool stuff back in the day. And so yeah, he used to bring them to school, and of course everyone was like, man, what do you got there, man? What do you got? And he would just pass it around like it was the biggest blunt, the fattest, most cleanest, the best blunt you can have in the whole wide world. So he would bring it to school, and they would all just sit there at a table and they would just smoke it, and make sure the teacher of course wasn't looking. But this one time they weren't paying good enough attention, so they were passing it around. I remember this clearly because it was so funny, because I remember we weren't in our class because I think they were doing some tests or something, so they moved all our classes around the whole school. And I remember this was on the second floor, and we had our math teacher, and I'm not gonna say her name, and I'm not gonna say the name of course of the kid, but so he brings it to school, and they're vaping in class, being a bunch of badass. They're like literally in a circular table, looked like they were planning to kill someone or something, because how like sketchy it looked. All of them were just the people who always sleep, always on their phone, that don't give a shit about life, basically don't give a shit about their futures, were finally up in class. And they were, the teacher of course knew that, she was like, oh well, you can sit there, but don't cause a disruption. And they were like, oh, of course, and which they didn't, because they didn't want to draw any attention to themselves. But anyways, so they start taking hits off the vape, like if they're taking these big ass hits out for like the biggest blunt, like they're smoking kush, about to die. But anyways, they're smoking it, and this one kid, I'm not the same kid that was in my last video. He's like, he's black, of course. I think I just need to get that out there. I think I need to just say that before I start talking about him, because But anyways, so he's like, man, I bet you I could take the biggest hit. So they all started like trying to one up each other, and this kid, he has the lungs, what I'm saying, he's different, so he has better lungs. But anyways, so he grabs it and he just takes the biggest hit he could possibly take, and right as he's like letting out the smoke, trying to do a smoke trick, the teacher turns around. So he just like goes silent, like he like keeps the smoke in his, he doesn't want to exhale, so he just like, and then the teacher's like, what are you doing? And he just like, shakes his head like nothing, like and they're like, oh no, miss, he's busy right now, miss. He just, and he put his head down. He's like, is he okay? And he's just like, he started coughing like and the smoke went all out underneath his, like under the table. And she was like, is he okay? And like, oh yeah, miss, he was just choking on something. It's like, oh man, you got me really worried. I thought he was choking on like some water. They're like, oh, do you need to go to the nurse? He's like, no, I don't need to go to the nurse. And it was just so funny, because everyone just was like looking at these kids, like they're the baddest motherfuckers in the school at the time. They were badass motherfuckers. But then he just like got all scared. It's like, oh shit. But it was funny though, because he fucking like had, he couldn't do nothing. He just like put his head like, are you okay? And he just like shook his head. No, he put his head on the table, exhaled all this. Everyone just started laughing when they saw the smoke come out. Like, is he okay? Like, oh, I thought you were choking. You didn't go nice. And so yeah, that was basically when they first started vaping though. Like, I remember that was whenever my friends were all like in there smoking and all the cool stuff that the cool kids do nowadays. I remember like everyone were just like, they were just take it. And then I remember eventually they did get caught like one time, but the teacher didn't make a big deal out of it. All she did was just like Like, don't do ever again. Don't ever do that again in my classroom. Like, she didn't know for sure if they did it, so she didn't like write them up or anything, send them to the principal, when really they could have probably got suspended and, you know, a whole bunch of other stuff. But the teacher didn't have like enough evidence to like actually, cause I guess she didn't see him like directly. She just thought she saw, basically she was just being cool, kind of, when you think about it. But anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe for more. And that is it for the Squid Bean.